Hey again, everybody. Welcome back. Another Distributed with TED Magazine podcast. I am Scott Costa, the publisher of TED Magazine. Look around. We got video and audio podcasts for you. And we are at the NAED Lead Conference. I am surrounded by Siemens. I'm surrounded by 30 under 35s. And I'm surrounded by sales engineers all at the same time. And I'm excited to meet in person all the people who are at the Lead Conference. If you didn't come, shame on you, because this is going to be an amazing event. And it's been really great. I got Amanda White over here again, sales engineer with Siemens. I got Brayan Garcia, sales engineer over here at Siemens. Thank you so much. Congratulations. I love to say congrats in person. Congrats on winning a 30 under 35 award. I'm really excited to meet all of you. Let's get rolling. You ready?
Ready, as I'll ever be.
Amanda, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
Not a lot of, kids grow up and say, what do you want to do when you grow up? Oh, I want to be a sales engineer at Siemens. So how did you find out about Siemens? How did you find out about the opportunities? How did they find you? How did you find that? Take me through that path.
I will say I found them. I'll say I'd like to say that they found me and they sought me out, but it was actually I sought them out. A friend of mine was doing an internship with them and said, "Hey, is anybody else looking for an internship?" At that time, I was, and I said, "Absolutely." And so did a ton of research, and obviously Siemens is such a big company. I still didn't really know what I was going to be doing going into it. But I had taken one electrical class in college, and it was interesting to me. So I thought, okay, as long as it has my interest, it's sales. So I thought, okay, I want to be meeting new people, hopefully helping people with something that they need.
Yep.
And so, I interviewed with them and then was offered an internship. And then from there was offered a full-time position after I graduated. And that was within their sales development program, which they've tweaked it over the years. But when I went through it, it was a year-long program. 6 months of it was actually in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So you're basically where our corporate office is. So you're exposed. Exactly. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Good job. So Norcross.
Little research this much.
Yeah. But so anyway, so I was there and then rolled out as a bid coordinator for a year. And then from there, I was promoted to the sales engineer role and I jumped at the opportunity.
And so I think it's important to touch on, again, you took one electrical class.
Yes.
And then Siemens really trained you on how to be successful. So take me through the training, making you, again, we're at the Lead Conference. We're talking about leadership. We're talking about developing people. Explain, I guess, a little more detail of the internship or about the training that got you to the opportunities that you had.
So I took one electrical class, but I had never seen gear before in my life. Like you see a load center on the outside of your house, but you don't even really know what to do. Right, you just know to go and like flip the breaker if it trips. And so I knew nothing. I attribute everything I've learned to honestly the people around me, and then just being exposed. I think you learn the quickest at like being in the position or being in the field. And so I'm a very big hands-on learner, or I need to see, examples. I need to see real life application. And so Siemens was really good at that. So the internship, it was basically, I had a couple of projects and I was introduced to what Siemens did and what they were all about. But I think the biggest piece of it was just shadowing my counterparts, and they were so willing to answer all my questions, even if they looking back, people say there's no stupid questions, but I feel like I asked a couple, or quite a few.
Wait, the podcast is not over. I got stupid questions. Still keep going.
So anyway, I would have so many people to thank for everything that they've taught me. So the internship was project focused and shadowing. The SCP program, you're in your home region for a couple of months. So again, you're kind of getting your feet wet, asking as many questions as possible. And then you go to Atlanta, and Atlanta is really again, learn more about the product, about the different processes we have, but it's also meeting the people. That's another thing people stress is it's not just, you want to build relationships, obviously, with your customers and outside of the company, but also internal to the company, because they'll be vital to your success. And so, I would just say the biggest thing, it was very, I'm trying to think of, we didn't have experience in different positions per se. Like you were always in a sales role or training for sales, but you got to see, the other groups, like the pricing team and the marketing team, and exactly. So you were exposed to all these different facets of Siemens that make Siemens what it is.
Right. I'm going to talk a little about mentoring in a second.
Okay.
We haven't talked to Brayan yet,
yes.
So let's Brayan, dive in. You are, according to your nomination form for 30 under 35, you're a first person to graduate from college in your family. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
That is amazing. Congratulations to you. That is really amazing. And so what happened? Where did you go to school? And then how did you find out about Siemens and the opportunities that you have now?
So I went to North Carolina State University.
Wolfpack?
Yes, the Wolfpack. I did electrical and computer engineering.
You did? Okay.
And that's how I ran into Siemens. It was a career fair for the electrical department. And I went and talked to them. It was actually the medium voltage group. They were out looking for interns. And so I had a really similar experience where I jumped at the opportunity to have an internship, and it actually turned into a part-time job throughout the year, which is what I liked. So I got to work. The office was 30 minutes from the campus. So, my entire senior year, I worked with the team, and then that later transitioned into a full-time role.
Yeah. So they worked with you on that. Correct. That's great. So again, you're at a career fair, and I assume there's a lot of, again, different companies that are there.
Yes.
What attracted you to Siemens, and what do you think you had that Siemens was attracted to you? Kind of what stood out to them? You probably had a lot of opportunities as an electrical engineer. Yeah. What about Siemens was like, okay, yeah, I really want to go down this path?
Well, that's a tough one, right? So I would say that what we do is not. We don't work for a consumer product. We don't build a consumer product. We build something that is part of the infrastructure to our communities. Yeah. And I've always felt like there was a reward for me to work. So out of the companies I had, I was like, which one do we need as a society to further?
Yeah. So you have, again, talking about training, you have an interesting situation too, because as opposed to Amanda, you have the technical skill, but not necessarily the sales skill. Exactly. So how did they train you? That might be a little bit different than what we were talking about over here a minute ago.
That's funny. So I spent 2 years being very, very technical. And then I switched over to the bid coordinator on the sales side. And since then, I mean, pretty much on a monthly basis, on a bi-weekly basis, we have a call that we train on new products. But the sales excellence team as well has an entire course. I mean, they have an entire list of courses you can take to better your soft skills. Okay. So that's what I've done kind of in the background. As I learned all of my product catalog, I also took the time to go through and learn some of those sales tech.
And do they keep that up? Like, do you have regular, I don't want to say courses necessarily firm, hard, okay, you have to do these number of hours, but do they at least keep you up to date in terms of, hey, let's just make sure that the world is different, and now you might be doing a little bit more remote selling or things like that. So are they continuing your sort of sales education and your sales training, because it never really ends?
Yeah, so we have a set of courses that get pushed out to the entire team, and those are the ones that develop the newer courses. But then you also have the ones that are self-paced. Yeah. And in my case, I sat down with my manager and I said, well, I want to move into a sales role. So we set some goals for myself, and I had outlined what courses I needed to take in order to achieve those goals.
Okay. Amanda, first time at the LEAD conference?
Yes.
It is. So kind of what are you expecting? What do you think? What do you see kind of coming up here?
I am excited to be here. I'm excited to meet all of the other nominees or
the award winners. They won already. They went through the process. Yeah.
Yes. Excited. I was looking at the speaker list, and I saw Dale Carnegie was.
They did a presentation on presentations. Exactly. But I've gotten some good reviews on that one already. They have the what they call the magnifier, which I'm really interested in, again, as far as leadership goes, about getting the most out of the people around you. And then, of course, another huge one is retention these days, as everybody is, there's so many available positions. So they're doing something on just making sure you're retaining, folks around you. And then the final day is DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, which I think will be really neat too. So how does that fit into those things? How does that fit in for you? I mean, does all that interest you? Is there something that you're like, boy, I can't wait to see whatever? Kind of, where does that fall for you?
I think, well, the last thing you said was diversity and inclusion. And I think being minorities, it's that's important. You know, that hits home for sure. Like having representation in our company, and they push for that. There's a huge push for that. But yeah, the other speakers, I'm trying to think of who. I think just in general, talking to other people that. Yeah. Well, and I think of the attendees that are here, and to me, they're, I don't want to say the best, but because that's putting me in that category, and that just seems weird. But
you're in there whether you like it or not, Pally. Wait, you can't give it back.
I think it'll be great to. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing all the people that are here.
Amazing networking opportunities. Right. They take out chunks of time to say, okay, now that we've talked about this, let's get into groups. Sometimes they do them by job title, and sometimes they just do them by randomness. Right. And you just kind of are meeting folks and networking. So
right. And I've done the women in industry through NAED. Right. And so I've been to those conferences, and the speakers they have there have been incredible and so inspiring and motivating, and, you know, all of those things. So just looking forward to seeing that on, I guess, the lead side.
Brian, what about you? What are you looking forward to? You're in Milwaukee. What are you looking forward to?
I just think this is a great opportunity to share knowledge, because that's really all we try to do is absorb as much as we can. So having all these different sources of tips, tricks, you know, industry knowledge, new products, that all helps our development.
Great. And where do you think? So where do we go from here? What do you see? I'll ask you first, Amanda, but I'm going to ask Brian too. You know, what does the supply chain look like? What do you see in terms of, you know, hey, we need to adapt more technology. We need to be more diverse. We need to be more. I mean, what do you think are kind of the top 1-2 things that you see are going to change? Maybe not tomorrow, but certainly by the end of this decade, we're going to be seeing these things because they're important.
I think maybe everybody said this, but, you know, post-COVID, you're seeing how dependent I feel like we all are on each other, and like the supply chain and delays. And I feel like as a manufacturer, we're experiencing that of sourcing things and becoming more efficient and investing in places that I feel like we haven't invested before. And so I think, the biggest thing is going to be diversifying. Is hard to say, but I would say diversifying for us as a manufacturer, it's like the avenues we go to get products and again, efficiency, communication. Like it's hard to just pick 2, but I think there's
I was trying to make it easy.
I know.
Guess that wasn't really,
I just feel like there's so many things that that I mean, we've just seen, I feel like supply chain has been hindered with everything that's not, maybe hindered is a strong word, but there have been delays and setbacks. I mean, I have an Amazon order right now that's pushed back, and I'm like, no, I need this. I know. So I'm like, dang it, you're the guys that are supposed to be on top of this. Right.
And they make the promise that it was like, they made the promise it was going to be here 4 days ago. Exactly. It's still not here. So I'm like,
yikes. Okay, I hope that's not my situation. But anyway, but I just optimizing things. I just feel like we've seen a lot of hurdles that we haven't seen in the past.
Good point.
And I think we're all learning from that.
That's a good point.
And,
I asked for 1 or 2, she took them all, but is there anything you can think of that maybe, you know, again, what you see the supply chain in the future looking like? Flash forward 7 years from now, we're right on the edge of 2030. Kind of, what do you see?
So I think that we're just going to have to start planning farther ahead. And I think part of that is
good answer.
Being in the digital industry is keeping track of data, having devices speak to one another, understanding when things are going to go wrong, and being proactive to those things going wrong. Because if your factory depends on a specific piece of gear and it goes out and you try to order it, well, you're in a bind, and so we want to get ahead of that as soon as.
It's a good point. It is great hanging out with both of you in person. I'm so excited to meet Amanda, Brian. Congratulations on being 2022 30 Under 35 award winners. I'm looking forward to the LEAD conference and recapping it with folks. So thank you very much also for joining me on the DistributED Magazine podcast. I really appreciate it. It's awesome. And again, just because I'm not in the office doesn't mean I'm not answering my phone or answering my emails. So You can get in touch with me 2 ways, as always. One, give me a phone call, 314-812-5311. I answer my own phone, even when I'm out of the office. Or you can send me an email, scosta, SCOSTA @NAAD.org. Send me your thoughts on these podcasts with the 30 under 35 or other podcasts that we're doing, the digital-only issues of TED Magazine, tedmag.com, Lighted, our Lighted website, or the 60 newsletters that we send you a week. Anything. Love to get your ideas. We can trade them back and forth until we get a chance to talk again. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks, everybody, for listening to the Distributed with TED Magazine podcast.